You're listening to the Life Coaching Secrets Podcast, episode 134. Did you know that life coaches are needed now more than ever? I'm Frank Macri, founder of Thriving Coach Academy. I've trained over 1,000 coaches and helped them launch their own successful coaching businesses. If you want to make an incredible income and impact as a coach and have a lot of fun doing it, I'll show you exactly how to get it done. This is Life Coaching Secrets. What's up, coaches? In this episode, I'm going to talk about the word calling. I'm going to break down what it means to have a calling in life, how to examine what your calling might be, how a calling is different from a job or a career or even a life purpose. And I will leave you with some coaching questions that you can reflect on yourself and also use with your clients so you can tap into your inner calling. So when I say the word calling, what does that mean to you? What does it bring up? The way that I define calling is having a strong inner urge or conviction to pursue a particular vocation, career, or way of life that is deeply meaningful and aligned with your values, passions, and a higher sense of purpose. Now, calling is not to be confused with a traditional job or a career or a life purpose. So I'm going to give you a definition of what those are so you can understand how a calling is different from those. When we think of a traditional job, a job is simply an exchange of time for money. It's primarily about doing something to earn a paycheck. You don't have fulfillment that comes from a job. So a job is something that someone clocks in to do. They put in a certain number of hours and they earn some type of payment for the work they are putting in. That is how I define a job. I remember earlier on in my life, I had several jobs. My very first job had me going around public parks on Long Island and cleaning up trash. I also worked at a public pool at one of the parks where I sold tickets for admission into the pool and sold locker keys as well. So that was a job for me. I wasn't getting a sense of fulfillment. I didn't feel like I was born to do that work. It was simply something I did to exchange my time for a paycheck. And at other parts of my life, I had different jobs. At one point, I was a house cleaner where I would go around and clean people's houses. And it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was any more than just a job. It wasn't my calling to scrub a toilet seat, but I did it at a time in my life because I was seeking money. I needed to have a paycheck. So it was an exchange of time for money. So that's what a job is. And there's no judgment, there's no shame in living that way, having a job. But in this episode, what I want to do is open up your mind to consider what else is out there for you, what else it is that you can contribute in your lifetime to allow you to feel a deep sense of fulfillment. So let's now talk about what is a career. A career is different from a job because a career often has some more depth to it. When you have a career, you are often driven by the opportunity to advance in that career. So if you've ever heard the term climbing the ladder, like the corporate ladder, this is often a term that I would associate with a career. Oftentimes, people achieve lots of success as they pursue various careers. However, what is missing in a career is a sense of deep fulfillment. So if you've ever felt or known others that were very successful on the outside, but they felt a sense of emptiness on the inside, this is a common challenge people have when they're in various career paths. Careers often have you doing and contributing and using a lot of effort and energy and working very hard. And sometimes people get caught in that trap where you're running on that hamster wheel, wanting to do more and more and more, struggling to realize that the more you do is not going to solve the bigger problem of not feeling that sense of fulfillment in your life. So a lot of people live their life where they are in careers and they climb up the ladder in those careers and they achieve a lot of success, but they're still feeling like there's something more out there, there's something missing. And that's what leads us to the idea of a calling. Okay, so a calling is doing something, having some kind of work that is connected to your passion and your values. So I'm going to break down what I think to be the 5 key elements of a calling. And as I go through these, I want you to check in with yourself and think, what might your calling in life be? Because I believe that all of us have a calling. And we often can't explain why we have certain callings. It's just they're there and they don't leave us alone. And one of the things I want you to get from this episode is that your dreams and your callings, they don't leave you alone. So one of the key characteristics of a calling is it's something that you feel very passionate about. You have a deep sense of enthusiasm for the particular work. Okay, it's something that gives you a sense of not just passion, but also a sense of purpose. So passion and purpose is one key element of a calling. Number 2 is there is alignment with your values. So a calling is very much aligned with the core values, the things that you care about the most, and the things that you find to be most important and meaningful in your life. Now, someone in a career path, like let's say, for example, that you are an accountant and you are achieving lots of success and you put in a lot of years as an accountant. But maybe deep down, doing that kind of work is not something that you really value. It's not something that you're passionate about, but you're good at it, so you keep doing it. It pays the bills, so you keep doing it. But you feel deep down like you're missing something. There's something out there that you feel you want to contribute that you're currently not contributing. So when it comes to having a calling, there's number 1, that sense of passion and purpose. And number 2, it's aligned with your values, the things you really care about. Number 3 is you have an inner conviction. So the way I think of this is like there's something greater than you that pulls you towards doing it. It's like unexplainable at times. Even if you're not a religious person, you just feel like something is some kind of force or energy is pulling you towards doing something. So there's a strong inner conviction. There's a strong sense of being drawn to a particular path. And sometimes it's hard to explain. Okay, so that's why I love the word calling, because it's like there's something out there that you feel is calling you to it. Okay, like I felt years ago as I was having all these various jobs, when I first learned about coaching, something just lit up inside of me. And it was like a moment where everything became clear. And I thought, okay, this is what I'm born to do. This is why I'm here. This is my calling. So think about like moments in your life where maybe you've experienced that, or you felt some kind of nudge towards something, or this inner conviction without having evidence for it, without having a lot of a logic or reason behind it. It's like it goes beyond that. So that's number 3, having an inner conviction. Number 4 is the 4th quality or characteristics of a calling is it's something that's really personalized and unique to you. And this is really important because oftentimes when we have a calling, we suppress the calling because other people don't get it, they're not on board with it. It's hard for them to agree with it or support it. So many people, unfortunately, put their calling on the side and they never honor it in their life and they end up with a lot of regret. Your calling is something that is personal to you. A calling is unique for each individual. So what I might consider my calling, most other people might not consider it their calling. Whatever it is you're called to do, as long as it connects for you, as long as you have that deep draw towards it, that's enough evidence that you need that it matters and that it's worth devoting at least your curiosity to exploring a bit. Oftentimes, a calling will go against a societal norm. It won't make sense to others. They will question it. They will not really see why it's something that you want. And that is okay. So a calling is something that is unique to you. And then the fifth characteristic of a calling is that it has a contribution element to it. So often your calling is something that allows you to make a positive impact, whether it be on an individual level or within a community or even on a broader society scale. Your calling is often tied to a sense of contribution. And here's the thing, I believe that it is one of our inherent human needs to contribute, to have a sense of contribution, knowing that we are providing some form of value to others. And I believe that if we're not doing this, then something is off in our life. We feel like we are draining and depleting ourselves. So a calling is something that gives you a sense of contribution where you believe and know that you are making a positive impact on others. Okay, so calling and contribution often go hand in hand. So again, in recap, the 5 key characteristics of a calling is it something that you're passionate about or it feels very purposeful for you. Number 2, is it something aligned with your values? Number 3, is it something you have an inner conviction or some deep draw towards? Number 4, is it's personalized and unique to you. So remember, it just makes sense to you, but it might not make sense to others. And number 5 is it gives you a sense of contribution. You feel like you're able to make that positive impact on others. So these are the 5 key characteristics of a calling. Now, oftentimes when people hear of a calling, they think, okay, well, is that the same as your life purpose? And there is a bit of a nuance between the two. So I want to distinguish so that way you have a greater understanding. Now, in Thriving Coach Academy, we do offer a specialized training on how to do career and life purpose coaching. So it's one of the many different niche areas that we provide specialized support in. We dive a lot deeper into life purpose. So for this, I'm just going to give you a very big picture distinction so that way you're not confusing life purpose and calling. So your life purpose, this is something that is more overarching. It's more of like an existential concept, and it's something, and I'll give you examples of the two in a moment. Think of life purpose as something that is encompassing of the broader meaning and significance that you seek in your life. Think of it as how you understand your role in the grander scheme of your existence. So simply put, it's how you be in the world, how you be. So how it is that you show up in all of the different ways in which you present yourself in life. So your life purpose is like that thread that is connecting you through all the experiences you have in life, okay? So it's like an overall guiding principle in how you show up in various parts of your life. So it's like how you show up when it comes to your relationships, the different work you have, the decisions you make, and overall just how you connect to yourself and others. That's what your life purpose is. Your calling, on the other hand, is referring to a more specific vocation or path that you can take. Okay, so it's like it's more of like the doing. It's what you do. It's the interest you have, the talent that you have, the skill that you are using, the work that you're doing that's feeling so meaningful and fulfilling. The other key thing, the key distinction is that your life purpose, generally that remains throughout your life, whereas your calling can be dynamic and it can evolve, which I found really interesting. So what feels like your calling at one stage of your life might shift and it might expand as you grow and as you gain new insights. So I think this is sometimes what keeps people stuck because they think, oh my gosh, I decided a decade ago that it was my calling to become an elementary school teacher. And this is my calling. And then a few years in, you start to feel like there's something else out there for you. That passion that was once there is no longer there, but you start getting into this inner conflict because you're not sure what to do because you were so convinced that you had found your calling, and now you're like, well, now I don't know. I'm not feeling the same thing I felt. That's normal. That happens as we grow and evolve in life. Your calling can evolve. So don't make that mean that there's a problem. See it as an opportunity for you to reconnect with yourself and reflect on, okay, what am I called towards now? What am I called towards in this new chapter of my life? You don't want to be at the effect of your previous decisions and feel like you were locked into one thing just because you had thought at one point that it was your calling. Our calling is dynamic and it can evolve. Okay? So in summary, the difference between your life purpose and your calling, okay, your calling is more specific. It's associated with a particular passion or maybe a particular way in which you make a contribution to others, while your life purpose is much broader. It's a more enduring aspect that encompasses how you show up, it is that you guide your life. So let me give you a very clear example. I know for myself that my life purpose is to share my voice and also inspire others to share their voices. This has been the theme throughout everything that I've done in my life, all the jobs, all the careers, all the callings that I've had. There's always been that purpose in sharing my voice and also inspiring others to share theirs. And I know for myself that I struggled growing up sharing my voice. I thought I didn't have anything valuable to offer. I thought my voice didn't matter. So when I was in school growing up, I would sit in the back of the classroom and keep my hand down because I just thought I didn't have anything valuable or interesting to contribute. So it took me a lot of coaching and a lot of reflection to get to the point where I realized that I do have something valuable to share. My voice does matter. And it's not just something that makes me feel good. It is actually a deeper purpose to my life to share my voice. But what makes it even better is when I'm able to share my voice and help others share their voice as well. So in all the different work that I've done, I found that is really what has created the bigger sense of purpose. That's been the underlying theme in my life. Now, while that's my life purpose, I do feel that my calling is coaching and educating others. So coaching and educating. I feel so called to the work of a coach. And I also feel so called to being in front of the classroom, being able to teach, mentor, guide others to learn and understand and uncover new things. So the work that I do now as an instructor in Thriving Coach Academy, I feel like I am doing exactly what I was called to do. And it is such an amazing feeling and definitely something that I don't take for granted. Like when when you talk to people and you say, what do you do? Oh, I do this. And what do you do? Oh, I do this. And you just hear when people talk about what they do, there's really no excitement or enthusiasm around it. When I talk about what I do, people hear right away, they're like, wow, you seem really passionate about it. And I say, yes, I am. I'm really passionate about it. I'm so grateful for it. And it's definitely something I feel like a calling in my life. And because I experienced that, I know that it's possible for other people to experience it as well. It just requires some digging and some reflecting. And I think that as you're listening to this right now, you probably have been given some clues and some breadcrumbs in your life to this point that have already revealed to you signs of what your calling is. It's just about you putting that all together and honoring it. So I want to talk about next, what are some of the benefits of honoring your calling and some of the costs of not honoring your calling. So first of all, some of the benefits is, number one and most obvious, it gives your life so much fulfillment. When you're living in alignment, doing the work that you feel called to do, making the contribution you feel that you've been put on this planet to make, you get such a profound sense of satisfaction. And you also feel such a deep connection to the work it is that you're doing. So the first benefit is you feel fulfilled. Secondly, the level of energy that it gives you. So I've had people tell me so many times, wow, I love your energy. It's just so amazing. How do you must get so much sleep or whatever. I'm like, actually, no, I just love doing this work. I'm so excited about it. Like I can't stop thinking about it sometimes. So you have so much higher energy when you are connected to your calling. And then like think about how your overall energy, sometimes people just look at physically how to improve that. Like maybe you need to take more medicine or supplements or, do this, do that. But I think that also when you're connected to your calling, that is life-giving. That is a life-giving force. So you will show up with greater energy when you're connected to your calling, and you will have higher enthusiasm. You will approach life with more vibrancy. The third benefit is the being able to live in your authenticity and integrity. So when you're pursuing your calling, it allows you to live in alignment with your values and actually do work that authentically is aligned for you, rather than doing something that you just feel like it's someone else's dream or you're just helping someone else with their calling. But you know that there's something deeper that really is more aligned for you. And because you're doing work that is more aligned and authentic for you, and you're having more energy and you're more fulfilled with it, you end up having so much more longevity in your work. And like, you don't think about, okay, I'm going to work for so many decades and then I'm going to get to a certain age and then I'm going to retire and then I'm going to enjoy my life and finally relax and do the things I want. It's like everything gets flipped when you're connected to your calling. Like, I don't ever think about when I will retire from this work or stop doing it. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. I'm like, what else can I create? What else can I do? How else can I serve? How else can I contribute? So you end up having a whole different relationship to the work that you do. And I'm really inspired by people that you can see it and feel it and sense it when they're aligned with their calling. Those are people that like work their entire lives and it's like they continue to have energy. And it's so inspiring to see, like, there's comedians out there, like, for some reason, Joan Rivers comes to mind. Like, she, like, never stopped. And she was just, she knew her calling was comedy and making people laugh. And it was just, like, so, even if you don't like her sense of humor, it was just so cool to see someone like her in her element doing her thing. Like, and like RuPaul's another example that comes to mind, like, still out there, just so funny, so entertaining, and will never stop working because RuPaul is so aligned to her calling, right? It's amazing when you can see people like that, and it's so inspiring. And that is also available for you. You don't have to become a drag queen. I mean, if that's your calling, great. But having that ability to connect to something that you love so much and feel so authentic and you don't even consider the idea of not doing it anymore. And the final benefit of honoring your calling is the positive influence that you have on others. When you are honoring your calling, you get to positively influence people around you. You get to see the difference that you're helping to create in other people's lives. And that's something that is perhaps the most rewarding part of honoring your calling, being able to see the ripple effect that happens by you just honoring your truth. Now, on the flip side of this, it's also important to recognize the cost of not honoring your calling. So let's talk about that for a moment. Number one is the lack of fulfillment. So when you neglect your calling, when you ignore it, then you feel a sense of emptiness in your life. You feel like something is missing. And this is a feeling that unfortunately doesn't go away. It's a perpetual feeling of discontent, and oftentimes it grows and it amplifies and it gets louder as we go through life and continue to ignore our calling. Also, one of the other negatives of not honoring your calling is the burnout and the stress that you experience. When you're engaging in work that's not resonating with you, it's not your calling, this is often one of the reasons why people lead to burnout or they have chronic stress, because there is an absence of passion. There's an absence of authenticity in their work, and this contributes to more exhaustion and has an overall negative impact on your mental and even your physical health. A lot of people, when they reach a point in their life where they hit a wall and they have a midlife crisis or a mid-career crisis, they find themselves spiraling in overwhelm and exhaustion because they're recognizing they're not on the path that they want to be on. So there's a lot of toll that this can take on you when you are not honoring your calling. And also another negative is the strain that it can have on your relationships. So when you're living a life that's not aligned with your calling, it creates a lot of internal conflict. And this is, of course, going to spill over into your relationships. So think about times when you've experienced this, maybe with others, or maybe you've been also the one who's done it, where you've been so stressed with your work, on top of being stressed with your work. It's not even the work you feel called to do. So that's compounding the stress. And you take it out on people that you love and care about. So it does have an effect, a negative effect on relationships when you're not honoring your calling, doing the work that you feel you are called to do. And perhaps the biggest and most debilitating cost of not honoring your calling is the regret that you feel. Regret is one of the heaviest emotions to carry around. It's feeling like there's unfulfilled potential that's just locked up inside of you. And it is wanting so badly to get out, but it's just sitting there. So when you don't pursue your calling, you end up having this sense of regret. And the more you go through life, the bigger and bigger it gets. So all of this unfulfilled potential and realizing that you've missed out on opportunities where you could have done something that felt aligned for you or you're passionate about. And also you could have made a greater contribution and now you're feeling like you missed out on that. This is one of the worst feelings, knowing like you had the potential, you could have, but you didn't. Okay, so there's a lot of different negative effects that unfortunately happen when someone doesn't honor their calling. But the good news is that even in this very moment, you can make a decision right now to start exploring your calling. All you have to do is just take it one step at a time. First step is to just reflect on what your calling might be. And then once you start having an idea of what it is, how would it be for you to start exploring that? And from there, beginning to pursue it as well. Now, one of the biggest myths people have around a calling is, and it's a limiting rule, it's the idea that you can't get paid well to do something that you love. Now think about this. Have you ever heard that before? You can't get paid well to do something that you love, right? Work is not supposed to be fun. Work is just supposed to pay the bills. And then the fun, the joy comes after work, right? This is unfortunately a very limiting belief system that is very ingrained in our culture. And a lot of people believe it and they never question it. I'm inviting you to question that belief system. I'm inviting you to consider that you can get paid not just get paid, but get paid really well to do work that you love, to do work that you're aligned with, to do work that you feel called to do. I remember as I started getting paid for my first few clients as a coach years ago, I felt a little bit weird about it. I'm like, wait a second. I'm doing something I love. I'm doing something that almost feels natural. It feels like it's a natural extension of me. And I'm having someone pay me for it. And I started to have even a little bit of guilt come in, like guilt for getting paid to do something I love. And I realized the reason I had guilt was because there was that lingering rule that you shouldn't get paid well to do something that you love. And then I had to rewrite it. I chose to rewrite it. And then the guilt went away. So I want you to at least be open to the possibility that you can get paid well to do something you love. And what if you even stretch yourself to think that it's your birthright? It's your birthright to get paid a ton of money to do work that you love to do. What if that's what you deserve and that's just what you're here for, right? I think that's a much more fun game to play than the alternative. Now, I want to leave you with a few coaching questions that you can reflect on and also share with your clients to start to figure out what your calling might be. Number one is, if you could spend your days doing anything, regardless of the money, regardless of external judgment or expectations, what would that be? Like, what is something that you're just naturally called to spend your days doing? Another one is, what's something that you do already that makes you lose track of time because you're so engaged in it, you're so passionate about it? This could also be a little clue. Another question is, what are the different skills or talents that you possess that come naturally to you? Or like the things that people acknowledge you for? Like I remember I used to have people say, wow, it's really easy for me to open up to you. I really feel really comfortable sharing things with you, thoughts with you, and emotions with you. And that was something that was natural. And I realized later on that this was one of the signs that I was called to be a coach, because that is one of the things coaches do, is you create a space for people to safely share their goals, their dreams, their challenges, their fears. Another fun question to consider is, what is something that you dreamed of doing or becoming when you were a child? So sometimes these answers might be ridiculous and just not aligned for you now, but other times there might be some elements of those dreams that still resonate with you today. Now, growing up, I had the dream to be a meteorologist. I have no idea why, but I just saw myself on TV reporting the weather to everyone. Now, I do not believe that it is my calling to be a meteorologist. Those days are gone. But for you, you can think about, what are the things that you dreamt about becoming or doing when you were a child, when you had that imagination that maybe was stronger than a lot of adults have, because there could be some clues there to reveal to you at least some indication of what you might be called to do. Okay, so I want to end the episode by saying, pay attention to the clues that life is leaving you right now. Don't ignore them. You probably have a sense of what the clues are right now. Pay attention to what it is that you feel pulled towards. Pay attention to those things. It might feel scary, okay? It often will feel like a lot of fear is coming up. It might even feel big. Like, wow, this is scary and big, and you might not even know why. But even with all those emotions, lean in, pay attention to those moments that you're feeling pulled towards, and those opportunities, those ideas, and make sure you surround yourself with people who also nudge you into your capacity. Now, very rare that this is going to be your parents. It's hard to say it. Your parents, they always see you as that silly little kid that you used to be, right? That's just how they see you. And it might not even be your significant other or spouse either, because they have so much personally invested with you. Okay. So surround yourself with people that don't have all of that bias about who you were, but the people that are able to nudge you towards your capacity and invite you to take that step into your calling and moving forward. Remember, your dreams don't leave you alone. Either you are expressing them, honoring your calling, living with the passion and fulfillment, making the contribution that you're born to make, or you're ignoring them and suppressing them, holding them back, and living your life with regret. And I don't want anyone listening to this podcast to have that regret. I want you to have the curiosity and the willingness to explore your calling, entertain your calling, see what it feels like for you. Give yourself permission to pursue it and see what that opens up. All right, thanks for listening to this episode. Before we go, I'm going to include a little snippet where one of our very coaches inside Thriving Coach Academy is going to share with you their experience and their journey through coaching and give you tips to be successful. So listen to their story, take lots of notes, and I will see you in the next episode.
Hi, I'm Faye Casement. I am based out of the UK, and I was an HR consultant and then a couple of years ago, I came across life coaching through starting a weight loss program. I'm now 65 pounds down. I've been doing human resources for 20 years and love working with clients, love helping people in that sense. But I'd always wanted to have my own business. I'm at a stage in my life now where I want to be thinking about how my career fits with my life. So I have a daughter, she's 15. At some point, she may want to have children. I don't want to be working a 9 to 5 and then miss out on those children. From the journey that I've been on, I've seen the power of life coaching, and I want to offer that to other people. And as a result of that, I have decided to change careers and become a life coach. And so I joined the academy. I did a trawl through the ICF website, clicking galore, and then I came across the academy. What I found actually was that a lot of the others were really hard to navigate what it was that they were offering. They were really closed down with regards to what they were all about. It was like it was a closely guarded secret. Whereas with Thriving, loved the way that Frank presented himself on the videos and everything like that, and I just really warmed to it. And so yeah, deal was done. Now I've connected with some amazing people, people that I would now like to consider lifelong friends and acquaintances. There's a lot of opportunity for mixing with other coaches from all around the world now. It's the community side of it that's definitely a huge bonus there. Love the teachings, I love the vibe. In fact, we get lots of practice time as well. So again, it's just kind of getting that all round knowledge, learning and experience. I've gained that confidence that I can not only be a life coach, but that I can be a business owner and an entrepreneur. So if you're somebody considering the academy, what I'd say is, what are you waiting for? Because ultimately, the program that you are going to get is not only detailed and comprehensive, you're going to get the support of an amazing community and coaches and mentor coaches, and your life can begin as soon as you join.
Hey, would you like access to powerful coaching tools you can use on yourself and clients right away? For being a listener of the podcast, I'm giving you a VIP guest pass to get a sneak peek into my coach training program. Inside, you'll learn our coach's secret tool they use to transform their clients' lives. And you'll also get a training on how to launch a coaching business. Just head over to www.thrivingcoachacademy.com/VIP to get started. I'll see you on the inside.